Hi there, hello, this is me, it's Moscow here, and this is Leedsista Libre, the free podcast where I bring you a recording of me reading out something that I wrote a while ago, in this case, 2020, January 2020, when we had just lost 2-0 to Sheffield Wednesday, and we were about to go and put that all right against QPR. This was a column about Millwall beginning to be our rivals for promotion to the Premier League, and about the transfer window, which is relevant again now. At the time that this was recorded, though, it was a year since we had failed to sign Dan James, and we were definitely not about to fail to sign Che Adams. Days of great success, great wonder, great joy. If you'd like something a little bit more up-to-date than this, don't go to Leedsista.com, because at the moment I'm writing about the African Cup of Nations 1996. Tony Yeboah, Lucas Radebe, mainly, at the moment, Phil Masinga. There will also be, in the next few days, something about Terry Yorath, who passed away last week. Those things are what I'm writing at the moment, and you can read those at Leedsista.com. This is what I wrote in 2020, and you can listen to me reading it out in 2020 through the joys of archival MP3s. Thanks for listening. In the story No Exit, three people trapped together realise that hell does not mean multitudes. It's not fiery pits and pitchfork pokes. Hell is being confined with two others, unable to escape their judgments, exposed forever to knowing what they see when they see you, and they always see you. In other famous words, hell is other people. Jean-Paul Sartre wrote that story about a person and two others, but the diabolical structure of the Football League Championship has imprisoned Leeds for what seems like eternity with 23 other football clubs. Hell extends up and down the divisions or circles to 91 other clubs, or 90 or however many Sean Harvey has left intact. There's no better example of Leeds United's hell than Millwall's abominable crawl into the lower depths of the playoff places. The promise of our eventual ascent to the Premier League has always been an escape from Millwall, for one, but not if they sneak up behind us before the trapdoor is closed. Millwall are typical of Sartre's idea, architects of Leeds United's hell. A couple of years ago I was asked to appear in a video about the rivalry between the two clubs, and I did, so that I could point out that there isn't one. Leeds rarely played Millwall until the last 10 years or so. The teams didn't compete for honours until the honour was promotion from League One. Our other foes then were Swindon, Charlton, Scunthorpe, Southend, with whom no hate hype ever grew. Leeds and Millwall is different because Millwall made it different. We see ourselves as a club so many ranks above Millwall that for most of our history they were irrelevant. We are champions of Europe, or would be if it were not for the imaginary claim of some other club. But Millwall see us as a club in their orbit that they can bring down and overtake, and they've been convincing enough about it that it's how people see Leeds United now, locked in a mutual rivalry with Millwall. That is the hell we find in other people, their judgments about us. In theory, Millwall and others like them should be ignored, but in modern football practice, we're trapped. Sheffield Wednesday's fans took us for a ride on our most feared post-Christmas ghost train last weekend. Not only their loud renditions of Leeds Are Falling Apart, but their swift reversal of our new Pump It Up anthem. Leeds fans have become acutely sensitive to this, to the point where any online discussion of a new chant becomes an earnest debate about whether it will tempt fate. We proudly declare that we're Leeds United, we don't give a fuck. But we give more fucks about how our songs might sound in the sarcastic mouths of other clubs' fans than how they might feel when we sing them about ourselves. Some would rather stand in silence than risk something we might hear sung back at us later. Football songs are supposed to be an act of defiance, but modern fans are as trapped by the hell of others' opinions as any teenager made anxious by Instagram. Hell in January is the transfer window. The Daniel James and Che Adams sagas, one of which reduced Victor Orta to tears and the other of which still might be better described as the Hugh Jenkins and Ralph Hasenhüttl sagas. In both cases, Leeds have put everything in place for a transfer to go through. Terms agreed, the player either willing or already wearing the shirt, only for the interior circumstances of other people's lives to make everything fall apart. This is a slightly different vision of hell in that its first impact is for something good to be prevented by the existence of others. But there's no question that the fear being expressed about United's work in this transfer window is not rooted in our own self-perception as a proud, confident European football club. When it comes to transfers, Hugh Jenkins makes us feel this way, and Ralph Hasenhüttl makes us feel this way. If not for those two, Leeds would have signed Dan James last January and Shea Adams this, and we'd all regard Leeds as a powerful force in the transfer market, able to identify quality players and get deals done at good prices. We'd love to see ourselves that way, but then we see other people looking at us, or rather looking at our number flashing on their mobile screen and refusing to answer. But a transfer market without other clubs is where Ken Bates used to shop back when he was convinced that out-of-contract players would come to Leeds for a moderate increase on their dole. It doesn't work like that, and this January, like every January, is as much about other clubs as it is about ours. As such, it's hell. It's always hell. The league, too, would be easy if there weren't any other clubs that could beat us, and singing would be simple if there was nobody to hear us and mock. But football would not be football if there was no competition and no mocking, other teams to play, other supporters to goad and be goaded by. No football club gets to define its own culture in a vacuum free from the influencing opinions of others. Until the day when we can sing about 1975 that we are the champions of Europe with nobody contradicting us, we will always be forced to accept that just because we sing it, we can't make it true. In other words, football is hell. The question for us is how to exist in hell, to sign the players we want, win the games we want, sing the songs we want. It's what marching on together means, a turn inward to ourselves. We can't escape hell, but we can turn our backs on it. It's advice you'll find stitched on a cushion. Dance like nobody's watching. Live, laugh, love. Here in hell. Forever.